Hey everybody, it's your friend and your guy and your favorite Portal fan, as noted by the Portal plushie back here, Gardner. Today, I wanted to talk about something that I have been asking Valve to do for time immemorial, basically. Valve is going through the arduous task of ranking games based on their compatibility with the Steam Deck. Now, this is obviously a little bit different from what I've always been asking them to do, which is rank games based on their compatibility with Proton. But by doing this, by ranking the games with compatibility for the Steam Deck, we're going to be getting a lot of what I've been asking for from Valve for a while. And this is really exciting. So let's actually watch the deck verified video together where Valve announced the process and what they're actually going to be ranking here. But before we get started, let's try and hit 5,000 likes on this video. Hit that like button. Show YouTube's algorithm that you are enjoying this type of content. And if you're really down with what I'm doing, hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell to stay up to date with all the cool stuff I'm doing here on the channel.
With Steam Deck, we're bringing your Steam library to a new form factor, a portable gaming PC. Many games work great on Steam Deck, right out of the box. Some games are playable, but require some extra effort to interact with or configure. There are other games that may be great on a desktop PC, but just aren't a great experience on Deck. Players need to know which group a game falls into before they launch or purchase a title.
That is absolutely true. Players need this kind of information, and that's why this is such an important thing that Valve's doing and why I've been asking for it for years. So let's continue.
So we've created a way to see, at a glance, how a game plays on this new device. The icons you see here represent 4 high-level compatibility ratings. What sort of experience you can expect when you play a game on your Deck? You'll see these icons on Steam when you're browsing your library or shopping for games on Deck. Verified means that the game passes all of our checks, including tests focused on input, display, performance, and seamlessness. Any verified game is a great, smooth experience on Deck. Games that fall into the playable category are, as you might guess, playable on Deck. But they'll require a little more manual involvement to configure and play. For example, you might need to bring up the on-screen keyboard to enter the name of your character.
Okay, first of all, you might need to bring up the on-screen keyboard to type in the name of your character. The fact that that falls into the playable category and not into the verified category makes me very, very happy, because there have been so many times where you're playing a game in big picture mode, for example, and you'll be sitting there on the sofa and all of a sudden, the game needs you to use the mouse cursor to focus into an input field, and then you need to type in with a keyboard. That's what the game expects you to do. And that is not a good experience. That's not a fun experience, especially when you're trying to play a game in that 10-foot experience. So the fact that Valve has that one major issue that I've had in the playable category makes me very happy. The other ones here too are very cool as well.
Or use the touchscreen to navigate a launcher.
Yeah, having to use a touchscreen to navigate a launcher is also playable but not verified, and that is awesome as well. It's basically shaming companies in games that run with external launchers, and I love that so much. The external launchers have been the bane of my existence for as long as I can remember. And so the idea that Valve is shaming them into making their PC game a little more consoleized, so you can just play it with a controller in your hands, that is exceptional.
A game that is unsupported just isn't playable on Deck. VR games, for example, are all unsupported.
Yeah, and you can see here your game does not function on Deck due to incompatibility with Proton or specific hardware components. That's a good start for what I've always wanted, and if the game is compatible with Proton or not. That's one of the major reasons that ProtonDB exists. It's because Valve didn't take it upon themselves to authenticate or verify that games actually work on Proton. Which, they said, oh yeah, we'll have a rolling list of games that, as we test and verify, we'll have more games coming out that are verified that work on Proton. And then, they never actually did that. Like they had like 10 games up front that worked, and then they didn't add games to that list. hopefully this is going to be more of an ongoing thing, and we'll talk about that in a minute.
A game's rating can change over time as the developer releases updates or the deck's software improves.
Okay, so the game's rating will change over time as the deck software improves or as the game receives updates. These verification icons are only going to be as useful as they are current. If a game like Ghostrunner pushes an update that breaks compatibility with the Steam Deck and it still has the green check mark on it, well, then it's not very useful of a green check mark, is it? And the other thing is that Valve has, their own games listed here. You have Team Fortress, which has a playable icon. It has a native Linux build, but it also requires that you use a mouse and keyboard or the touchscreen and an on-screen keyboard in the case of the Steam Deck. Half-Life Alyx as well doesn't have support because it's a VR title, and you're not really going to be able to play VR on the Steam Deck as far as Valve is concerned. Day of Defeat is unknown. And we'll talk more about Valve's games in a second.
The first thing you'll see when you open the store on your deck is this section, called Great on Deck. Here, you'll find only games that have the highest rating, verified.
And that's very important as well. Right out of the box, you're only going to see the games that are great, that work well and are verified to work well on the Steam Deck. Because as I've said, I think that the Steam Deck is going to be sort of a consoleized PC, which is something that Valve has flirted with in the past, but never really went full bore on. And at this point, with the Steam Deck and all the hype surrounding it, the verified section is going to be where most people are going to end up staying. And it might end up being that, like, your average person is just going to see the yellow icon even and maybe not think, oh, it's not even worth it. It might be frustrating to actually try and get a game with a yellow icon to work. And so people might just stick with the green check marks here. Yeah, it's interesting to me. It'll be interesting to see how that green check mark actually affects sales of the game as well. Yeah. All right. Anyway, let's continue.
The full global store is just one tab over. There you can find everything on Steam, including games of every compatibility rating. Here's a look at what you'll see when you're shopping for games on deck. In the upper right, there's a section called Steam Deck Compatibility. If you click on the Learn More button, it'll take you to a detailed report about that game, including a breakdown of what you can expect when running it on deck.
This is the compatibility ranking system right here. Team Fortress 2. Valve's testing indicates that this title is playable on Steam Deck. Here are the results of our compatibility check. Number 1, some functionality is not accessible using the default controller configuration, requiring use of the touchscreen or virtual keyboard. Very important, we've talked about that. This product has missing or inaccurate controller glyphs. That is so exciting. I have talked about this many, many times throughout the history of my channel. The fact that the controller glyphs, the little icons that pop up, along with the in-game text, don't match or represent the controller that you actually have plugged in and are using. There are ways to fix this, but games don't implement it yet. If you're like sort of new to video games and you pick up a Steam Deck and the on-screen prompts have, like, say, PlayStation prompts for some reason, you're looking at the controller and you see X on the screen, so you hit the wrong button because these are laid out more like this is more like an Xbox controller. So you hit the wrong button and the game doesn't progress because you're not hitting the right button. Or even worse and more plausibly, you are playing the game with your controller and you move your thumb to the touchpad for some reason, and the game, because you're using the touchpad, which is emulating a mouse, changes all of the on-screen prompts from the controller glyphs to keyboard buttons. That has happened to me so many times when using the Steam controller that it's unplayable with the Steam controller, and that is so frustrating. So yeah, I'm so glad that this is one of the checks that Valve has added here. There's also SteamOS can run this game. SteamOS can run this game, meaning it's compatible with either Proton or it's a native build. This product's default graphics configurations works well on deck. Again, very important. If the game detects that it's running on the Steam Deck, it can configure itself in a way that is developer optimized for the handheld. That's important. And the interface text is legible. This is, again, super important, because if you have a small screen and it's a 720p screen or 800p screen, you're going to be looking at text it's pretty small. So you want to be able to read the text that's actually on the screen. And there are a few games that don't support larger font sizes on smaller resolution screens. So this is all very good. I'm super happy about this.
PC gaming has never been one size fits all. We know players will use their decks in different ways, in different places, attached to different devices. We hope this information, being easily accessible, lets everyone find the games that'll work best for them. No matter the rating, you'll always have the option to run whatever you want on Steam Deck. After all, it's your deck.
And I love that. That's kind of become like the tagline for the Steam Deck. After all, it's your deck. It is. That's awesome. And it shouldn't be like cause for applause to have a company say that you own the product you bought from them. But in the current day and age, it is. And that's, it's more of a sad state of affairs about the world that we live in, rather than, saying good job to Valve for recognizing the simple fact, but whatever. Now I wanted to talk about how they actually plan on executing this ranking system, because it looks like Valve are actually hiring people to review all 50,000 Steam games. Wow. This is pretty intense. Valve's Greg Coomer and Lawrence Yang both told Rock Paper Shotgun that Valve have hired or are putting together a team of people to manually go through and test every single game in the Steam library. There are 50,000 games or more in the Steam library, so this is no small task. Even after every game in the Steam library has been tested for compatibility, there's still going to be a need for this, because there's something like 100 new titles every week added to Steam. And the fact is that games receive updates, which might change its compatibility with the Steam Deck. So the idea is that Valve is putting together an internal team to be able to test all of these games. They say that within 1 week of submission, the game should receive a ranking or a compatibility with ranking with the Steam Deck. And this is great, because Valve from 2018 would have left all of this up to the developers, or they would have tried to crowdsource this kind of ranking system. And so the fact is, Valve of 2021 has recognized they need to step up and actually supply this kind of information, and hire a team and put money into ranking every game for their compatibility with the Steam Deck. That is enormous. Valve recognizes that how important the Steam Deck is going to be. They are putting their money where their mouth is here. And I have to say that it is refreshing to see a Valve that cares, because Valve of 2018 did not care, and it really damaged Steam, and it really damaged Valve's brand. And we're seeing Valve now today releasing new games and actually stepping up to the plate and providing a reliable ranking system for game compatibility on the Steam Deck. This is so nice to see, my friends. I am so excited about this. Now, they actually have a Steam Deck compatibility review process outlined in the Steam Partner portal here. One of the things that's actually listed on the Steam Deck compatibility page is that launchers will be allowed to be compatible with the Steam Deck, but it has to allow the user to fully navigate the launcher with a controller. That's a good thing, but at the same time, I just wish most launchers would go away. I don't like launchers. Maybe if the game needs to have its graphical settings tweaked, you could have a secondary launch option in Steam that would bring up a configurator. But the idea of launchers just pisses me off. I hate them so much. So the fact that Valve at least requires all launchers on the Steam Deck to be compatible with controller input, that's good. I like that. But I think that another thing that Valve is doing that shows their, absolute dedication to Steam Deck and the SteamOS platform is that most of Valve's titles are receiving Vulkan backend upgrades. That's right. Games like Half-Life 2 are receiving a Vulkan upgrade. Now, originally, this was reported by Tyler McVicker, a fellow YouTuber who follows a lot of Valve news. But basically, there is a beta branch of Half-Life 2 that has received many bug fixes and also a Vulkan backend. This is incredibly cool. Now, if you're not familiar with Vulkan, it's actually a free and open source API that's similar to DirectX, except better in every way. It's more compatible with a wider range of graphics cards, and it's closer to the metal, which means that you get more performance with fewer instructions that are needed to be executed. It's also important to note that Vulkan is way more compatible with SteamOS than OpenGL or obviously DirectX, which is owned by Microsoft and doesn't have actual native support on Linux. In fact, most DirectX games that are compatible with the Steam Deck have their DirectX function calls converted over into Vulkan before they're executed. But I think that's everything that I wanted to cover in this video. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate you being here as always. I love doing this, and the Steam Deck has reinvigorated my my love for gaming in general. So I couldn't be more excited to talk about the Steam Deck news with you guys. Let me know down in the comments what you think about these type of videos, because I'm anxious to hear what you have to say. If you like this video and you want to help support this show, you can head over to Patreon or maybe click the link down below to become a YouTube member. Patreon and my YouTube members are how I am able to continue doing this. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be able to make these videos for you. So thank you guys, I really appreciate it. Like I said, that's going to do it for now. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you all have a blessed day, and I'll see you in the next one.